morning I will be showing you how do I make my bread. This is one of the things since I live in US, so 3 years now. I gave up on the first 2 years, and then I decided that no, I'm French, I need my bread. So since I made up this recipe, I have not made any other bread since then. This is really the bread that I use for everything I do. I typically eat salad every lunch, and I always have my 2 pieces of bread with some pate on it, with some cheese. Can't go with cheese either. I'm gonna be showing you how to make it. It's very, very, very easy. And this is what you're going to need. You're gonna need a cast iron pot. You're gonna need the largest bowl in your house, some flour, bread flour. I'll talk to you about that one in a little bit. Salt, seeds, this is an option. Plastic wrap, water, instant yeast. So let's just go ahead and make it. It's very simple. So you're gonna start with 3 cups or 535 grams of bread flour. Then you're going to add 1 cup or 155 grams of the flour of your choice. I'm choosing whole wheat, but you can have rye flour, any flour that you like. You can also put just a 1/4 cup of bread flour. Okay, so 1 cup or 155 grams of the flour of your choice, whole wheat here. Then you're going to add a 1.5 tablespoons of salt, which is 22 grams. To that, you're going to add 1 tablespoon of instant yeast, which is 8 grams. Then, this is an option. You can add 4 tablespoons or 50 grams of seeds of your choice. Here I'm doing half and half flax seeds and chia seeds. So whatever seeds you like. If you like sunflower seeds, you can, or sesame seeds. I like it because it adds a little crunch in the middle of the bread, which I really love. So seeds of your choice. 50 grams or 4 tablespoons. Then we're gonna mix all that thoroughly with your hands, with your spatula if you want. I like to use my hands. So, and when all this is all mixed together, we're going to add water. So 2 cups of water, which is 525 milliliters, preferably warm, about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So here we go. And then you're just going to mix all this together until all the flour is moist and all the water has been absorbed. Okay, so when this is all mixed together, all you have to do is cover it with a plastic wrap or a damp towel. I prefer the plastic wrap because it really doesn't let the dough dry out, and also if it rises and touches it, it's not going to stick as bad as it would with a damp towel. So make sure you wrap it up really tight. No air. I don't want any air to go into the bowl. That's not a nice noise. Okay, and then you're just going to let it sit for 2 hours in your kitchen. The best is to let it sit in the oven off, just with the light on, because that will provide a warm enough environment for the dough to rise. If you don't have that, if you can't do that, just let it sit on your kitchen counter and let it go for 2 hours. Then I'll show you what we do. Okay, so it has now been 2 hours that the dough have been sitting, and it should have approximately double in size. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to wet our hands a little bit, the tips of our fingers, and we're going to grab one side of the dough, stretch it without ripping it apart, and fold it on the top. Give it a little turn, edge of the dough, stretch it, and fold it. If it starts getting sticky again, wet your hands a little bit more, give it a little turn, pull, and fold. And you're gonna do that all around the dough. Pull and fold. Hop. And this is that easy. Now we're gonna cover it back and let it sit for 2 more hours, and we're gonna repeat the same process in 2 hours. Okay, so it has now been 2 more hours, and as you can see, it has doubled inside again. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do the same things that I showed you a minute earlier, well, 2 hours earlier. We're gonna wet our hands and fold the dough one more time. Okay, when this is done, what we're going to do is flour very, very lightly your work surface and your hands. Then you're going to pour the dough onto the work surface. Very gently. Okay, so now you could just stop here, grease your bowl, which I'm gonna show you in just a minute. Put the dough back and let it rest for 1.5 to 2 hours before you put it in the oven. And just stop here. Or you can take it an extra step, which is, again, flour your hands, flour your dough. And what you're going to do is put your hands in front of the dough and apply with keeping contact with the surface and the dough. You're going to pull the dough towards you. And you're gonna do that in every direction. And what that's going to do is pull the dough, fold the dough into itself and incorporate more air. It might get a little sticky, but after a few times you'll get just used to it and you'll be fine. What you want is the bowl to be a little bit more tense. But again, you don't have to do this part. This is just a little extra step to make your bread slightly better. Okay. So I'm gonna put it on the side so you can see what I'm doing with the bowl. Here's the ear. Okay, so now you can use a clean bowl. I don't like to have a lot of dishes to do, so I use the same one all the time. What we're gonna do is put a little bit of olive oil, or the oil of your choice if you don't have any olive oil laying around. Then with some paper towel, we're gonna spread it everywhere inside the bowl, on the edges, at the bottom, everywhere. Then we're going to sprinkle some flour. I like to use that tool. I have no idea how it's called in English, but I'm sure you'll figure this out. So I'm gonna take a little bit of flour. That's about a half a cup. And I'm gonna sprinkle flour everywhere in the bowl. The reason is we're going to let the dough rise again, and we don't want it to stick to a bowl before we put it in the oven. Then you're just going to take your dough and put it seam down in your bowl. Here we go. We're gonna cover it for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Keep an eye on it. Now you're going to start the oven at 475 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 245 degrees Celsius. You're going to put your cast iron pot in the oven to warm up for at least 1 hour. Usually when I do that last step with the dough, I just turn on my oven and put my cast iron pot in it, and so it heats up for an hour and a half to 2 hours. You want at least 1 hour, and then I will show you an hour and a half. What do we do to transfer the dough into the cast iron pot? Okay, so it has now been an hour and a half, and I can see that my dough has doubled inside again. So I am going to get my cast iron pot out of the oven and show you how you transfer it. So you're going to flour the top of your dough and pour it onto the working surface very gently. Here we go. Then you're going to remove the lid of your cast iron pot very carefully. Don't put it somewhere it's gonna burn. As you can see, it's really, really hot. So now I'm going to pick it up with my hands and put it in the pot. If you have something to protect your hands, please use it. I do not. So I'm just going to be very, very careful, okay? So I'm gonna pick up the dough and put it in my pot. And put it in the oven for 25 minutes. So the oven is at 475 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 245 degrees Celsius. I'm going to cook it for 25 minutes. Then after 25 minutes, I will remove the lid and turn the temperature down to 450 Fahrenheit, which is 230 Celsius, and let it cook for 25 more minutes. And then I'll show you the result. Okay, so now your bread is done. So you're going to take it out of your pot. Okay, the best is to let it cool off. Then take it out. Then cut it. Now if you're like me and you're not patient, because you've been waiting, what, 7 hours now? You're gonna pick it up out of your pot and eat it. It is just so good warm. I usually just can't wait. And look at that. It is crunchy. Look at that. It's beautiful. So I usually cut it in half, and then I'll make sure that the slice are small enough to go in my very high-tech toaster. I'm gonna cut it in half, and then I will make slices this way. So here we go. This is our bread. You made it. Okay, so now one more thing. If you want to make this bread, and you started a little late, you discovered this video at 12 and you're like 7 hours, that might be a little short for you. What you can do is make this bread in the afternoon, and the last rise, so the last time you let it sit for an hour and a half or 2, you leave it in the fridge overnight. And in the morning, you take it out, you warm up your oven for an hour. I usually set mine like before I wake up. I have a timer, so I will set it at 5, so the iron cats have been warming up for an hour. Then I wake up at 6. I just put my bread in the oven, and 6:50 I have a smoky hot bread. So, bon appétit! Au revoir, my friends! Just a quick little trick that you can do if you have some leftover bread that's starting to get a little old, or like my husband's hate eating the end of the bread. He doesn't like when there's too much crust. I don't know what's wrong with him. Don't ask me. So if you don't want to just throw it out, because I just hate throwing out things. Food is food. Gotta eat it all. So what you can do is cut them up in little pieces, then put them in a large bowl, drizzle some olive oil, some Italian herbs, which is basically oregano, basil, thyme, rosemary, and sage. It's usually what's in a Italian seasoning. Some garlic, everything is better with garlic, some kosher salt, or it disappeared here. Some kosher salt, mix all that together, put them all flat in parchment paper, 400 degrees Fahrenheit in the oven for, I would say, about 5 minutes. If you have a roasting option, that's the best. Put them in the oven for about 5 to 7 minutes until they're nice brown and crunchy. You add that in your salads, in your soup. I love it. I really love it. So don't waste anything.